Look around your life for a moment. Maybe there's a guitar you tried to learn sitting in the corner, a half-built website you started coding months ago, books about baking, fitness equipment, or a sudden obsession with martial arts. And every time you see these unfinished projects, you feel a quiet kind of guilt. You start thinking something must be wrong with you. Society loves to label people like this. They say you're unfocused. They say you lack discipline. They say you can't stick to one path long enough to succeed. Maybe you've even repeated the phrase to yourself, "Jack of all trades, master of none." But most people forget the second half of that quote. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but often better than a master of one. Psychology suggests that this scattered curiosity might not be a weakness at all. It could actually be a sign that your brain is wired in a very different way. Instead of building a single narrow skill, you may be unconsciously developing what researchers call an M-shaped mind. And in the modern world, that kind of mind can be incredibly powerful. For decades, society rewarded one type of person, the specialist, the person who chose one career, one skill, and spent their entire life mastering it. It was like playing a game with fixed rules. If you practiced one thing long enough, success was almost guaranteed. But the world doesn't work like that anymore. Industries change overnight. Technology evolves faster than ever. Jobs that exist today may disappear tomorrow. Your brain might already sense this. That's why you naturally move from interest to interest. One year you might be fascinated by programming. The next year you're studying fitness, music production, photography, or philosophy. To an outside observer, this looks chaotic, but something deeper is happening. You are collecting knowledge from completely different worlds, and when those worlds collide, something powerful appears. Psychologists call this far transfer. Far transfer happens when you take an idea from one field and apply it to a completely different one. Specialists usually rely on near transfer. They solve problems using the same tools they've always used. But people with broad curiosity often connect ideas that nobody else sees. Imagine a programmer who once studied agriculture. Their understanding of natural systems, cycles, and growth patterns might allow them to design software ecosystems in ways other programmers never imagine. Their strength isn't just skill, it's perspective. And that perspective often leads to innovation. But even when this is true, many people with this type of mind still feel behind in life. You watch people your age climbing predictable career ladders, becoming managers, senior engineers, executives. Meanwhile, you feel like you're still exploring, switching paths, starting new interests. It can make you feel like you're standing still while everyone else moves ahead. But the real problem may not be your ability. It may be that you're misunderstanding how your potential works. Most people follow a T-shaped path. They learn a little about many things, but develop deep expertise in only one. But people with highly curious minds often develop something different, an M-shaped path. Instead of one deep skill, they develop multiple areas of depth across their lifetime. Each skill becomes a pillar, and curiosity becomes the bridge connecting them all. But there's an important rule to making this work. You cannot build every pillar at the same time. Trying to master 5 different things simultaneously leads to exhaustion. The people who thrive with this mindset learn to work in seasons. They focus intensely on one area for a period of time. Maybe their 20s are devoted to art or music. Later, they shift into technology or business. Another phase might bring writing, teaching, or entrepreneurship. They didn't abandon the earlier interests. They simply completed one season before starting the next. Over time, those seasons begin to connect. Skills from different periods of life combine into something unique. And there's one more psychological advantage that people with many interests often have. It comes from a concept in biology called redundancy. In nature, redundancy means having multiple systems that can perform the same function. If one fails, another takes over. This is why certain animals are incredibly resilient. Your wide range of skills works the same way. If someone relies on only one ability and that industry collapses, they're vulnerable. But someone who has explored many fields has options. They can pivot, they can adapt, they can rebuild quickly. What once looked like scattered interests suddenly becomes a powerful safety net. So if your life contains a long list of hobbies, unfinished experiments, and unexpected passions, it may not be a record of failure. It might actually be a record of exploration. Each attempt gave you experience, perspective, and understanding. Each one added another piece to the architecture of your mind. You were never meant to fit into a single box. Your strength may come from connecting ideas that others would never think to combine. And one day, those connections could be the very thing that sets you apart. If this perspective changed the way you see your own curiosity, make sure you subscribe for more videos about psychology, human behavior, and how the mind really works. And before you leave, share your experience in the comments. Do you often jump between different interests and projects, or have you always preferred focusing on just one path?